Now that you have a good idea of the content of the course and what is required for you to earn the grade that you desire from MTC, let's look at how you need to complete your labs. This process is exactly the same for CPT 176 as well as CPT 209, so I'm only making one video for the process, and you would just need to customize this in whichever way you need it. So on your home page you will see this link. Click here to access your online labs. So we can start here. This is going to take us to the Microsoft official academic course Labs Online. What you need to do is, once you have purchased your MOAC access code, you need to register it. You'll do that by clicking here to register, and then you need to create an account. We're going to create a fictitious account. Let's call this Sandy Midlands. Email account smidlands@gmail.com, smidlands@gmail.com. Password, please be sure that you have a minimum of 7 characters with uppercase, lowercase letters, numbers, and possibly a special character or two. So I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 just to make it easy for this, but you need a complex password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, I blew it. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we have Sandy set up with that. The next thing we need to do is type in the text that we see to prove we're not a robot. 1783 space CIPTADENT. Interesting. Ciptadent, I guess. And we register. And here we are. Sandy Midlands is welcomed to the Microsoft Official Academic Labs. Right here is where you put in the code that you'll get from the card that you purchased from the bookstore. You enter that code, you click Add Code, and you will see your lab pop up right here. If you're in 176 and 209, you don't have to do anything more. You don't have to go out and re-register. Just put in the code for the other course, add the code, and you'll see this pop up right here. One thing that you do also need to do while you're in this page is click on My Account, and you can change your password, etc. right here. But down here on Update Your RDP Preferences, you see that the radio button for Use ActiveX Control Connection Method is selected. If you leave it there, you can only use Internet Explorer to complete these labs. And I don't know about you, but I don't know how to do things outside of Chrome or Firefox. I just prefer those so much more. In order for those to work, you need to use the HTML5 connection method, then update your preferences and save it. Alright, that is done. Now I'm going to go out of this screen and into my actual MLO content so that we can look at the course. So I'm going to sign in. Once you've completed your registration process, you're going to sign in here. My content is now being loaded, and here you see I have MOAC 70-410R2. That is the required labs for CPT 209. Then I also have MOAC 70-697. That is the required code for the labs for CPT 176. If you'll look up here, you'll also see My Classrooms. You do not need to register a classroom. If you actually were to do that and complete the course in this classroom, you would also have a bill to pay to Wiley for the course. We don't want you to have to do that. You're just using this interface to access your labs. Now you see here for 70-410R2, configuring server 2012. The labs are listed. This is lab 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, etc. Those numbers correlate with the schedule that you have on your instructor addendum and on your schedule page. So let's look at one of these. This is exactly the same as 176. If we do look at 176 for just a moment, you'll see Lab 1. It's listed a little bit differently, but Lab 1 is a paper lab. Look at it, read through it, try to answer the questions using the book, but you do not need to submit Lab 1 for CPT 176. So you would begin with Lab 2. But let's go back up to the server course. The lab is a little bit shorter for starting. In order to start the lab, you click on Lab Details and Take Lab. This takes a minute or two to come up, depending upon the actual bandwidth that you have at the time. While this is launching, let me just make you aware that these labs are using a real computer, a real virtual operating system on a server somewhere on the Wiley complex. So you're actually working on a computer as you work through these labs. Here we go, it's coming up. There. And this is the Windows setup process of installing Server 2012 R2 on a new server. When you come up here and look, you'll see Virtual Machine, and this says Bare Metal. That's the machine, the server that you're on right now. It's also in the lab manual, it's listed as Server A, and I'll show you where that is in just a second. As you see here, you also have Server B and Server C. These servers are used frequently to provide additional software. Every computer, though, that you need to complete the lab is going to be available to you up here. So if it were to, somewhere in the middle of the lab, say change to Server B, you would just go here, click over to Server B, it will connect, and you'll see that it looks a little bit different. This is actually just an illustration for you for this lab. You'll get more used to that as you work your way through. Under Actions, whenever a lab tells you to hit Control-Alt-Delete, please do it right here. If you hit Control-Alt-Delete on your own computer, it will take you to the taskbar because you're working on your own computer, but here you're connected to a computer that is online somewhere else. Now, the way that we actually start the lab, go up here to Files. This is the Files link, and you need to pull down the lab manual. The user guide is good to review just to give you some good information on how to work with the labs, but the lab manual is right here. This is the step-by-step guide that you need in order to complete the lab. So I'm going to open this up, pull it over here so you can see it, enable editing, and there is the lab manual with the step-by-step guide to complete the lab. You will see here as we work our way through this, the exercises are listed. There's also the lab challenge. For this course, I do not require that you complete the lab challenge. However, you may need to get with Mr. Meir to make sure that the lab challenge is not considered a requirement for your completion of his labs. This gives you an explanation of the scenario and also working with lab sheets. And then here is the beginning of exercise 1.1, performing a clean installation. Now I'm going to move this off to the side so that we can look at what I'm doing here, but I'll move it back when you need to look at it. So step 1, select the Server A computer. Next, accept the default values for language, time, and currency format. So we're going to accept all of this and say next, and then install now. And that actually takes us down through steps 1 through 3. Setup is starting. Step 4 says select Windows Server 2012 R2 Data Center with a graphical user interface, or GUI. So we don't want server core, we want it with the graphical user interface, and we select next. Our next step says we need to select I accept the license terms and click Next. Since this isn't even on a machine we have control for, it's easy to accept the license terms, and we select Next. Now we're going to do a custom install Windows Only Advanced, and so we click on that and it takes us to the Drive O unallocated space. And so we're going to select it and click Next, and the installation process is going to begin. While that installation process is beginning, I'm going to pull our lab manual back over here. You can see we've worked our way through all of these steps. We've gone through step 6, actually we've gone through step 7. I'm going to show you this. You probably will not want to do it until you've completed the lab, but while we're waiting for this installation process to take place, I'm going to show you that one of the requirements you must complete before submitting the lab is to delete all figures and steps from the beginning of the lab until you hit the first question. So I'm going to go all the way up here. I like to see this Lab 1 installing servers on the document that I have you submit to me. So I'm going to stop there and delete all of those steps. Now you see a question. First question is, what should you do if the drive on which you want to install Windows Server 2012 R2 already has a partition on it containing an operating system and data you do not need? You need to answer this question in order to receive full credit for your lab. The answer is in your book. Once you find that answer, all you have to do is click in this box, turn your text red so that it stands out, and then you type the answer in here, which the answer is actually, you need to click Drive Options, Advanced, to display additional controls that you can use to delete the existing partition and create and format a new one. That's how you answer the questions. You would do the same thing here in question 2, but I'm not going to give you the answer to it. So I'm just going to turn the text red, hit enter once, and this is my answer. So you are going to have to look this one up. Sorry. Now, this is the lab says after several minutes and a system restart, the setting page appears. In the password and re-enter password box, type PA $$W0RD and click Finish. Then you see here it says click Control-Alt-Delete. That's where you come up here under Actions and select Control-Alt-Delete. You do not do it on your keyboard. Let's pull that lab back up. And you would work the rest of the way through. Let's see how far we are. We're still only at 87% for installation. I'm not going to make you sit here and wait for this in order to complete the lab this time around, but we're going to delete all of those steps. We would then move on to exercise 1-2, and we're selecting server A. We're going to Control-Alt-Delete where the Windows login page begins. I'm going to delete these steps, reminding you don't delete them before you've done them or you're going to have to pull it down again. But I want you to see right here at step, oh, here's question 3. So once again, you need to type your answer in there, make sure that it's in red, and you would keep working your way through the lab. Right here at what's step 3 now, but it was step 15 a few minutes ago, because we've been deleting, it says take a screenshot of the command prompt window by pressing Alt Print Screen and then paste it into your lab. I'm going to move this out of the way again so that I can just get my screenshot here. Print screen, Then I will move this back. And you're literally going to paste this into this lab document. So now Control V, paste it into place. If you'll note, the entire image does not show up. But if you'll bring your mouse up over it and hover, you'll see that the image is just behind or whatever. And we're going to wrap the text. We can actually choose layout options here, and we want it to wrap top and bottom so that now our image is in place. You'll see my hubby in the background over here. I do have two monitors, so you see a double screen. But here is my screenshot. This isn't the right one because remember we skipped some steps. But here is my screenshot. I leave it there. I delete everything else. As I said, lab challenge, optional, but I do recommend that you do it. Now my document is ready to be submitted into the Dropbox for credit. Make sure that you have the date and time at the bottom right hand corner of your screen. That date and time must correlate when you're actually doing this lab. If it does not, you will not receive credit for it. So make sure that that is showing before you submit your lab. What I really recommend, and I can't edit it right here, but you can see if I make it a little bit bigger. Okay, I need to see this date and time right here in order for you to receive credit for that screenshot. Don't be surprised if you don't see it. Now, we're going to save this, and I'm going to save it in CPT 176, and this is, you shouldn't CPT 209 because this is a CPT 209 lab. All right, lab for Visio. Oh well, you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to click Save because now I'm going to close this out and I'm going to end my lab, say OK, and I'm going to go back into D2L, go to CPT. You would submit your lab by clicking right here, uploading your document, and I will then go in there, or we will go in there, grade your lab, and you will see the grade for that lab, and it will also show up in your gradebook. Hopefully this helps you overcome some of your concerns and worries about successfully completing your MOAC labs. Again, remember, if you have questions or concerns, email or call your instructor. We're here to help you, so give us a call and let us help you out. Thanks for watching this. Don't forget, take your orientation quiz. You must earn 100% on that quiz before your labs and your quizzes will open.